Welcome to The Right Gun. Welcome back, everyone. And for those new to my channel, please like, subscribe, and share. Help me grow this channel and grow the community. This will be one of the last videos I do on the M1 Carbine, chambered in .30 carbine. I wanted to do a once over the world of this rifle, and I also wanted to do a disassembly, reassembly video for you. So we're going to take another minute and a half or so of this video just looking over the rifle, admiring it, seeing it for what it is, seeing the craftsmanship, and just talk about the rifle a little bit. And the rifle obviously was adopted in World War II. It's very popular. One of the reasons for the popularity was its size and weight comparison to the M1 Garand. The M1 Garand was much larger and heavier and was not as suited for close quarters combat, clearing bunkers, or some of the parachute operations that were debuted in World War II. So as we were discussing the differences of the M1 Garand and the M1 Carbine, I'll just read you some of the size and weight differences. The M1 Garand was 9.5 pounds loaded and 43.5 inches long. The M1 Carbine was only 35.6 inches long and weighed 5.8 pounds fully loaded, so that's quite a difference. The M1 Carbine was a short, light, semi-automatic rifle. It was chambered in the .30 carbine cartridge and was box magazine fed. It held 15 rounds. Magazine capacity, the knockdown power of the .30 carbine cartridge, and the range, which was effective out to 300 yards, were just a few of the reasons why soldiers found the M1 Carbine to be more superior than the M1 Garand in certain combat situations. I do love the bolt design of the M1 Carbine and the M1 Garand, and obviously you've seen it transcend World War II to the Korean War and to Vietnam with the M1 Garand, the M1 Carbine here, and then the M14, and then obviously in Ruger's design all the way through the Mini 14 and Mini 30. So before we get to the disassembly, just going to show you some of the markings on the rifle here. So you see the numbers, the serial numbers all match up from the bolt assembly to the barrel here, and you saw the Springfield-esque type marking there. I'm not going to say it's Springfield because I just can't read it. It's kind of dulled out. But on the other side, as you'll see, is RIA, which is Rock Island Arsenal. This is where this rifle was refurbished, and just, you know, kind of admire the woodworking and the craftsmanship and some of the markings on it. All right, so now getting into the disassembly. So this is called the front band screw, and there's a locking mechanism here. So you're just going to unscrew this screw, loosen up this band. You will then need to take the screwdriver and pop down the locking mechanism, and then just slide this whole assembly forward. Now once this assembly is slid forward, you can take off the hand guards, and the rifle, the barrel assembly just comes right out. So we're going to set the rifle frame aside and the stock aside, and we're going to concentrate on the barrel assembly, the bolt, and the trigger housing group. Now you can see here clearly the barrel and what they call the receiver group. Next, we're going to take out the slide spring and the slide spring guide rod. Now this part is always high adventure because these parts are under tension. If you accidentally let it go, it will go flying, but this is relatively simple removal. Just pull it straight back, keeping it tight in your fingers, and just remove the spring. So this next step is removing the trigger housing retaining pin and the trigger housing group. This is pretty easy. It comes right out, and the trigger housing group will just basically slide right out as well. So removing the bolt can be a little tricky. As you slide the operating handle back, there will be a couple of notches You will feel that notch. You need to pull the operating handle out. You will feel it click, and you will see the metal tang come out of its groove. From that point, you can remove this bolt as I'm doing here. You just pull it straight out and up, and it should come out without any hindrance. Removing the operating handle as I'm doing here is also a little tricky the first couple times you do it. So you'll see the little groove that my finger was pointing to. You need to slide the operating bolt back and then rotate it counterclockwise, and it will come off. There is a friction point, you just have to find it. And here is a full view of the disassembled parts. Again, I am not taking apart the bolt, and I am not taking apart the trigger housing group. I just didn't feel comfortable doing that. So this is the disassembly we're going to do. A little bit more than a field strip, but just felt it was important and really wanted to get this on camera. Quick view of the trigger housing group here and the magazine release and catch assembly. Then we're going to examine the receiver group before we start the reassembly process. Here's the notch that's going to give you problems. Here's the notch it marries up with. And we are going to just kind of slide it back on. You'll notice that the charging handle, if you will, is right there. And you just kind of slide it together. There it goes. It just takes a little bit for it to come on. Sometimes it'll fight you the whole way, and sometimes it'll just lock right in. That time happened to lock right in. So there you go. Now for the bolt assembly, here's this little flag for the firing pin. That's going to go facing downwards, so you want to make sure that the bolt is, there's a little notch on the bolt. You want to make sure that that's out. And slide that forward. Drop this straight in. Now there is a groove here, tongue and groove slot right here, so you need to make sure that gets into place, and you'll feel it go in. You'll feel it go in, because if it's not in, it wouldn't slide. And now the bolt, again, you'll see, or excuse me, the slide, see it right here. So you want to kind of push that up and in, get that seated, and then the all important part is the charging handle is still out. Slide it back, you'll feel it go in, ride it forward, and you're done. Hopefully got that all on camera. So here we are. Again, there's a tongue and groove notch right in here that you'll see. Trying to line that up so you're on the, so it's also on the camera is a little bit of a challenge. Trying to adjust the light a little bit. So you can see how that fits in right there. Now the pin that we removed will slide in right here. And there is a bit of a bushing in here, so you know that this goes in this way, and it slides in fairly easily, or at least this one does, so if you turn it over, it will fall out. Okay, so I've turned everything around so you can see us insert the slide spring. So you're going to guide that in here, and it is under tension, so you want to make sure that the bolt is all the way forward.
Just make sure that that drops in right there. So, see that? The pin was coming out for the trigger housing group there. So, again, should have good smooth action. Alright, so we have the three pieces ready to go together. We want to keep this tilted a bit to the right. Drop that in. There's a little lip right there. Drop that in. Because if you don't, the pin that holds the trigger housing group in place will come out and you will not be able to get this together. So this is all put together. And then for the handguard, make sure that that is seated in there correctly. Okay, so these pieces aren't together yet. You have the handguard here that is snapped into place. Now, you need to hold this down and hold this into place because this will slide back. Snapping everything into place, and then we will tighten this back up. There you are. Disassembly and reassembly. Or disassembly, reassembly. Let's play with the magazine just a tad bit here. So, little notches in the back. Magazine release.
If you made it all the way to the end of this video, I just want to say thank you. Please like, subscribe, and share. Love bringing you these videos, and you liking, subscribing, and sharing will help me continue doing that. Thank you very much. Thanks for watching.